Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Rishabh Beed. We have uploaded the entire revision series of CA Final SPOM Set A, that is your corporate and economic laws. And I received a very good and positive response for that particular videos, for all those for the entire that playlist. And you guys really want me to discuss the question and answers. And so here I am present in front of all of you to discuss all the questions and answers of the ICI study material. So in this particular lecture, so this is again an entire new series of question and answer discussion of ICI study material. So in this particular video, we are going to discuss your Foreign Exchange Management Act 1999, and we are going to discuss all the questions, the descriptive ones, the MCQ ones, which are given in the ICI study material. So now, without wasting much of time, let us begin. This is your MCQ number 1. In September 2020, Mr. Purushottam Saha visited Atlanta as well as Athens and thereafter London and Berlin on a month-long business trip. So there is a person, Mr. Purushottam Saha, he has visited 3-4 countries. Now, what does the question say is, for which he withdrew foreign exchange to the extent of 50,000 from his banker, that is State Bank of India. So here he has withdrawn $50,000 in financial year 2019 and financial year 2020-21. He has withdrawn firstly 50,000 rupees for foreign trip visit from State Bank of India New Delhi branch. In December 2020, he further withdrew $50,000 from State Bank of India and remitted the same to his son Ravians Saha, who was studying in Toronto, Canada. Matlab 50,000 rupees he withdrew to travel 4-5 countries. Again $50,000 in the month of December to remit the amount to his son, who is studying in Toronto, which is in Canada, again a foreign territory. In the first week of January 2021, he sent his ailing mother, Mrs. Savita Saha, for a specialized treatment along with his wife, Mrs. Rashmi Saha. So, matlab what he sent his mother along with his wife for the specialized treatment of his mother to a country. The name of the country is given as Mr. Saha to settle, where his younger brother Pranav Saha, holder of green card of is residing. Matlab 50,000 rupees for visit of four foreign territories and $50,000 for remittance to his son who is studying abroad outside India. He sent along with his mother, his wife, for the specialized treatment of his mother. For this purpose, for the treatment of the mother, he withdrew $75,000 and remitted the same to his brother who is studying outside India. So $50,000 $50,000 again twice, and $75,000. This much amount he has already remitted. Now again, what does this question says further? In February 2021, Mr. Purushottam Saha's daughter Devanshi Saha got engaged, and she opted for a destination marriage to be held in August 2021 in Zurich, which is situated in Switzerland. Now, while on a trip to Dubai in the last week of March 2021, he again withdrew $35,000 to be used by him and Devanshi Saha for meeting various trip expenses, including shopping in Dubai. Matlab, again $35,000 they have withdrawn and remitted. They are utilizing this money in the foreign. Now, this they have spent in for the shopping and for the some trip related expenses $35,000. Now later the Dubai event manager gave an estimate of $250,000 for the wedding of Devanshi Saha at Zurich, Switzerland. Devanshi wanted to have a destination marriage. Therefore, they asked some of the event managers like what is the quotations, and the event manager gave them a estimated quotation of $250,000. Which they are supposed to pay if they are going to conduct their destination wedding in Switzerland, Zurich. Now, which option do you think is the correct in the light of applicable provisions of the Foreign Exchange Management Act, and including obtaining of prior approval, if any, from the Reserve Bank of India, since Mr. Purushottam Saha withdrew foreign exchange on various occasions from his banker, State Bank of India. So now in these questions, they are asking is there any kind of prior approval that is required from the Reserve Bank of India if Mr. Purushottam Saha is remitting any kind of money outside India? Now let us count what is the total amount of remittance which is being made outside India. Let me erase all this first. This much you have understood? Just a second. Yeah. So $50,000 one, $50,000. There is one $50,000. There is another $50,000. So this amounts to $1,00,000. Then again $75,000 for the specialized treatment of his mother. So total amounts to $1,75,000 as of now. Apart from that, $35,000 are to be utilized for the trip, utilized for the purpose of trip as well as the shopping purpose in Dubai. So total amounts to $2,10,000. 50,000, 50,000, 1 lakh plus 75,000, 1,75,000 plus $35,000. Total amounts to $2,10,000. Now again, they are saying that the event manager gave an estimate of $2,50,000 for the wedding of Devanshi Shah. Let me, you guys tell me, giving an estimate, will this amount to remittance of money outside India? So the answer to this question is absolutely no, because we are not making any kind of remittance. We are not paying any money to the outsider, to the foreign territory in the form of dollars, right? This is only an estimate which we have received from the outside India. So there is no kind of remittance. So this $250,000 we are not going to count for the purpose of remittance. So total remittance in this particular question is $210,000. Now one more thing, under your liberalized remittance scheme, that is your LRS, liberalized remittance scheme, under LRS you can make a remittance of up to 2,50,000 rupees without obtaining a prior approval from the Reserve Bank of India. This is covered under your Schedule 3 of current account transactions. Schedule 3 of current account transactions. So the amount of remittance which is being made out of this particular account, out of this particular made by this particular person, is only $210,000, which is less than $250,000. So you guys tell me, is there any requirement for them? Is there any requirement for the Purushottam Saha to obtain prior approval of the Reserve Bank of India? So the answer to this question is no. He can absolutely remit all these amounts on different occasions without obtaining any kind of prior approval from the Reserve Bank of India. So let us understand what are the MCQs, what are the answers to these MCQs. In respect of withdrawal of foreign exchange on various occasions from his banker, State Bank of India, and remitting same outside India, Mr. Purushottam Saha is not required to obtain prior approval of Reserve Bank of India. So I think this option similarly matches with what we were thinking. But let us understand. Let us discuss more questions. Let us discuss more. Points also. In respect of withdrawal of 35,000 in the last week of 2021, trip to Dubai, Purushottam Saha must have obtained prior approval of Reserve Bank of India, since the amount of foreign exchange can be withdrawn in the financial year is US dollar 1,75,000. So here you can see this option is absolutely wrong, because the amount of limit is $250,000. So this particular point is, this particular option is wrong. This we cannot consider for our answer. Point number C talks about, after withdrawing $1 lakh, Mr. Purushottam Saha must have obtained prior approval of RBI for remittance made during the financial year 2021. Otherwise, SBI would not have permitted funds further withdrawal. So again, here 2,50,000 rupees, there is no requirement to obtain prior approval. So therefore, this answer is also wrong. Point number D talks about, withdrawing $50,000, Mr. Saha must have obtained prior approval of RBI. So RBI approval is required only if the amount of remittance is exceeding $250,000. So what is the right answer to this MCQ? So the right answer to this MCQ is point number A. There is no requirement to obtain prior approval of RBI. So this was the entire analysis of your question number 1 of your MCQs. Now moving on to the question number 2. Okay, Mr. Kedar Sports Academy, a private coaching club, provides coaching for the cricket, okay, football and other similar sports. It coaches sports aspirants pan India, matlab in entire India they provide coaching services. It also conducts various sports events and campaigns across the country. In 2022, to mark the 25th year of its operations, a cricket tournament, a kind of format of T20, is being organized by Mrs. Kedar Sports Academy in Lancashire, England. They are holding a sports event in the first half of the April. Now the prize money for the winning team is fixed at $40,000 in case of runner-up, and $40,000 for the winning team and $11,000 in case of runner-up. So 40,000 plus 11,000 total amounts to $51,000. They are going to remit the prize money. So if you remember the word prize money, kuch na kuch dimag mein you would have remembering some kind of provision that prize money, if you are remitting outside India, there is certain kind of approval required. So all these things should come into your mind as soon as you remember, as soon as you read the word prize money. So you are required to choose the correct option from the 4 given below options. with respect to amount of remittance which is to be made by the Kedar Sports Academy for remittance of prize money of $51,000. That is 40,000 plus $11,000, keeping the views of relevant provisions of Foreign Exchange Management Act. So let me tell you, under your current account transactions, schedule number 2 talks about prior approval of central government is required if you are making certain types of remittance. Under that, there is a remittance which says that. So here I have put a screenshot for your reference. You can refer ICAI module page number 1.17, which says that remittance of prize money or sponsorship of sports activities abroad by a person other than international, या फिर national, या फिर state level sports bodies if the amount involved exceeds $1 lakh US. So if the amount of remittance is more than $1 lakh is being made by any person other than national, international, or state level sport bodies, then you have to have prior approval of whom? Prior approval of Ministry of Home, Human Resource Development, or Department of Youth Affairs and Sports is definitely required in order to make such a remittance. But if and only if the amount of remittance is more than $1 lakh, if it is less than $1 lakh, no need to have prior approval of that particular, no need to have prior approval of central government as well. So here the point number C looks to be very kind of matching, which says that no prior approval is required. Kedar Sports Academy is not required to obtain any prior permission from any authority whatsoever. It can proceed to make the remittance. But it can make the remittance without obtaining a prior approval from any kind of bodies, any kind of central government bodies. So the answer to this question is point number C. Question number 3 talks about Akash Ceramic Limited, जो कि एक इंडियन कंपनी है, holds a commercial plot in Chennai which is intends to sell. Akash Ceramic, Indian company, willing to sell a commercial plot in Chennai which it intends to sell, which is located in Chennai, which Akash Ceramic is intending to sell. Now, Mr. Super Seller is a real estate broker in USA. He has been appointed by Akash Ceramic Limited to find out the suitable buyers for the said commercial plot in Chennai, which is situated at a prime location. Now, Mrs. Super Seller identifies Glory Estate Inc., which is based out of USA. मतलब Glory Estate Inc., which is based out of USA. मतलब USA का बंदा is finding out USA का बंदा to sell the property which is situated in India. So broker is there. So as soon as you hear the word broker, there should be kind of connection with commission. So if you remember, there are certain provisions with respect to commission. If you are making any kind of remittance of commission, so there are certain limits. So please be careful with that. Mrs. Super Seller identifies Global Estate Inc. based out of USA as a potential buyer. Now it is to be noted that Glory Estate Inc. is controlled from India and hence it is a person resident in India under the applicable provisions of Foreign Exchange Management Act 1999. Therefore, since Glory Estate is being controlled by a person who is situated in India, therefore that is a person resident in India under the applicable provisions of FEMA. A deal is finalized and Glory Estate Inc. agrees to purchase the commercial plot for $6 lakh US. According to the agreement, Akash Ceramic Limited is required to pay commission at the rate of 7% of the sale proceeds to Messrs. Super Seller for arranging the sale of commercial plot of plot to Glory Estate Inc. and commission is to be remitted in US dollar to the head office of Messrs. Super Seller located in USA. मतलब there are three parties to this transaction. Akash Ceramic Limited situated in India. There is Super Seller who is a broker. There is Glory Estate Inc. which is also situated in USA, who is the potential buyer of that particular property which is situated in Chennai, India. Now, Super Seller will charge some kind of commission from the Akash Ceramic which is situated in India for the sale of property to whom? To Glory Estate Inc. So according to your FEMA provisions, so if you see your current account transactions schedule 3, it talks about you need to have prior approval of Reserve Bank of India if you are remitting any kind of commission per transaction. If the commission per transaction to agents abroad for sale of residential plots, residential flats or commercial plots in India exceeds $25,000 or 5% of inward remittance, whichever is more. मतलब if you are making a remittance of more than $25,000 or 5% of the inward remittance that is going to come into India, whichever is more. If you are making remittance in excess of this limit, then you are required to have prior approval of Reserve Bank of India. So this is covered under your current account transaction schedule 3. So you can refer to those provisions over there. Now, if you see $6 lakh cost, 5% would be how much? $6 lakh का 5% would be $3,000. $3,000 multiplied by $70. So you will get a certain amount. That amount, or they are making a commission of 7%. 7% of $6 lakh. $6 lakh का 7% is $42,000. So whichever is higher. So we will take $42,000 being the higher amount, 5% of the commission amount or 7% of the sale proceeds, whichever is higher. So we are taking the higher amount, $42,000. Therefore, the amount of remittance which is to be made, commission made, so this is more than $25,000. Therefore, the prior approval of Reserve Bank of India is required as per the provisions of current account transactions schedule 3 के अंदर जो covered है with respect to commission. So answer to this question would be point number D, that it is mandatory to obtain prior permission of Reserve Bank of India for remittance of entire commission of $42,000 to Messrs. Super Seller, because this $42,000 is more than $25,000 which is provided under your the current account transaction schedule 3. So therefore prior approval of RBI is required. So we are done with 3 MCQs, 3 more left out, I guess. Yes, 3 more left out, and then we will move on to the descriptive ones. Fourth talks about Mr. Raman, a non-resident, has a SIP with a prominent Indian mutual fund. Due to some impending financial difficulties, he requested his elder brother, Mr. Raghav, who is staying in India in a multinational company, working in a multinational company, to make payment of subsequent installments of SIP on his behalf. Matlab, a person resident outside India asking his brother who is situated in India, who is residing in India, for the purpose of remitting, for the purpose of making payment on his behalf, on behalf of non-resident brother. So is the transaction is allowed under FEMA or not? So your definition, your section 3 of your FEMA regulations talks about, it says that no person shall make any payment to or for the credit of any person who is residing outside India in any manner. Matlab, any person shall not make any payment to the credit of any person who is situated outside India. So here a person, Mr. Raghav, who is situated in India, making payment of SIP for his brother who is situated outside India. So is this transaction allowed or not? You can refer page number 1.12 of ICAI module for this particular reference. And so tell me, this is allowed or not? So this answer to this question is clearly no. Raghav is not permitted to undertake such transaction for paying few installments on behalf of SIP on behalf of non-resident brother, since it amounts to payment for the credit of a non-resident person. Since it amounts to the payment for the credit of a non-resident person. So the answer to this question is point number A. Point number 5 talks about Mohita Periodicals and Max Publications Limited, having registered office in Chennai, has obtained consultancy services from an entity which is based in France for a setting up a software program to strengthen various aspects related to publication. So as soon as you hear this word consultancy, so this consultancy work should click into your mind, saying that there are certain provisions with respect to consultancy, which talks about if any kind of remittance is made for consultancy services, then exceeding the particular limit, then prior approval of RBI is required. So in this question, we will refer this particular thing. This is covered under your current account transaction schedule 3, page number 1.19 of ICAI module. Remittance exceeding $1 crore, $10 million per project for consultancy relating to infrastructure project. Matlab, if you are making any remittance exceeding $10 million relating to infrastructure project, consultancy project is there with reference to infrastructure project, then the limit is $10 lakh, $1 crore, that is $10 million. And if it is a normal consultancy project, then the limit up to which no approval is required of RBI is $10 lakh, which is basically $1 million. So this software program to strengthen various aspects relating to publication, this kind of, we can assume it to be a general, this is not an infrastructure project, and therefore the maximum amount of remittance up to which no approval of RBI is required would be $1 million. So we will see the $1 million. Here it is given as $5 million. So this answer is completely wrong. We cannot consider. This is it is given as $10 million. So again, this is also a wrong answer. This is given $5 million, again wrong answer. And this is given as $10 million, $1 million. So this answer is right. So permissible amount of foreign exchange that can be remitted by Mohita Periodicals and Max Publication Limited for obtaining consultancy services from an entity which is based in France without prior approval of RBI would be how much? Would be $1 million. So the answer to this question would be point number D. Point number last MCQ of your this FEMA. After 5 years of staying in USA, Mr. Umesh came to India at his parental place in New Delhi on October 25th, 2019. Mr. Umesh, who stayed in USA for 5 years, came to India for the purpose of conducting business. For the purpose of conducting business with his two younger brothers, Mr. Rajesh and Somesh, and contributed a sum of 10 lakh rupees as his capital. Matlab, Umesh stayed out of India, that is, stayed in USA for 5 years, came to India for the purpose of business along with two of his brothers, and he has contributed a sum of 10 lakh rupees as well to that business. Simultaneously, Mr. Umesh started a proprietary business of selling artistic brassware, jewelry, etc., procured directly from the manufacturer who is based out of Moradabad. So he started two business. One, he started a partnership business with two of his brothers. Apart from that, one more business with respect to brassware, jewelry, which he used to procure directly from the manufacturer and selling to the retail customers. Within a period of 2 months from his arrival from USA, Mr. Umesh established a branch of his proprietary business in USA, Minnesota, USA. Matlab, after coming into India from USA, within 2 months he established a business in USA. You are required to choose the appropriate option with respect to residential status of Mr. Umesh and his branch for the financial year 2021. So we have read in your definition of person resident in India, a person who has come to India for the purpose of taking up employment or for carrying on business or vocation in India or for any other purpose which indicates his intention to stay in India for an uncertain period, then such person would be considered as a person resident in India. Therefore, Mr. Umesh, who has come to India for the purpose of business, therefore he would be considered as a person resident in India the day he lands into India. So the presidential status of Mr. Umesh would be what? Sorry. Residential status of Mr. Umesh would be of person resident in India for financial year 2021. Now, the residential status of his branch which he has established outside India, that is, he has established in Minnesota, USA, the branch which he has established. So what does this talks about? The person resident in India definition includes that any of his branch or agency outside India which is owned or controlled by a person resident in India would also be considered as a person would also be considered as what? Would also be considered as a person resident in India. Therefore, Mr. Umesh, situated in India, owning a company, a branch or a foreign entity which is owned or controlled by a person resident in India which is situated outside India, then therefore such an office, branch or agency would also be considered as what? Would also be considered as person resident in India. So therefore, both the residential status of the Umesh and the branch which is situated outside India in USA are to be person resident in India. So the answer to this question is point number D. For the financial year 2021, Mr. Umesh is a person resident outside India, but his branch established at Minnesota. For financial year 2021, Mr. Umesh is a person resident outside India, but his branch established at Minnesota, USA is a person resident in India. So, just a second, let me see the answer to this question number. So, answer to this question would be not D. This is a wrong answer because both of them would be what? Both of them would be person resident in India. So, answer to this question is point number C. For the financial year 2021, Mr. Umesh and his branch, which is established at Minnesota, USA, are both person resident in India. So the answer to this question would be point number C, and this is what given in your answers as well. 6-1 is given as C. So this was the MCQ discussions. Now let us move on to the descriptive ones. So from these descriptive questions you will be able to understand. So these questions will not be asked in your examination. Only MCQs will be asked. But if you solve these questions, you will have a better confidence, better understanding of the relevant provisions, and therefore we are going to discuss these descriptive ones in just next few minutes. Now, question number 1 talks about Printex Computer is a Singapore-based company having several business units all over the world. Printex Computer, Singapore-based company having business units all over the world. Now it is a unit for manufacturing computer printers with its headquarters in Pune. It has a branch in Dubai which is controlled by headquarters in Pune. Matlab a person, this is a Printex Computer situated in Singapore having a headquarter branch in Pune. Singapore में situated entity being headquartered in Pune, मतलब owned or controlled by in Pune. That entity is owned or controlled by in owned or control in India in Pune. It has a branch in Dubai, which is controlled by headquartered in Pune. Matlab the branch in Dubai and Singapore both are controlled by where? Both are controlled from Pune. So what could be the residential status under FEMA for both Pune and the Dubai branch? So if you see the definition of person resident in India, a person, an office, branch, or agency which is situated, owned, or controlled by a person resident in India would be considered as a person resident in India. An office, branch, or agency which is owned or controlled by a person resident outside, a person, body corporate, registered or incorporated in India. So if you see point number 2 and point number 4 of your person resident in India definition, you will be able to relate that a person who is an entity which is situated outside India, which is owned or controlled by any person who is situated in India, then residential status of such entity outside India would be considered as person resident in India. So the residential status of Printex Computer, which is situated in Singapore and Dubai, would be considered as a person resident in India. So let us understand the answer to this question. So if you see the last point, hence Dubai branch through not on but is controlled by printer unit in Pune, which is person resident in India. Hence, Dubai branch is a person resident in India. So this answer to this question is yes, Dubai branch is the person resident in India. This can be asked as an MCQ in your examination. So please be very careful. Question number 2 talks about Mr. Sen. An Indian national desired to obtain foreign exchange for the following purposes: remittance of $50,000 out of winning on a lottery ticket, and $1 lakh for sending a cultural troop on a tour to USA. So if you remember, there are certain prohibited transactions under your FEMA. Certain capital account transactions which are completely prohibited. Matlab you cannot undertake those transactions. And there is one transaction which says that remittance of lottery winnings, remittance for purchase of lottery tickets, remittance of purchase of football sweepstakes, such a kind of prohibition is given. So under that there is a prohibition with respect to remittance of lottery winnings. So therefore, can he remit lottery winnings outside India of any amount? So the answer to this question is no. FEMA completely prohibits these kind of transactions. Point number 2 talks about $1 lakh for sending a cultural troupe on a tour to USA. So I don't think so there is any kind of up to 2,50,000 rupees you can remit any amount. So there is no prior permission required and you can remit such money. Let us understand the answer as well. So the point number 1 says that Mr. Singh cannot withdraw foreign exchange for this purpose because this is completely prohibited in your first schedule to FEMA, capital account, current account transaction rules. Under your current account transaction rules, this is prohibited in your first schedule, which says that you cannot remit any kind of lottery winnings outside India. And the point number 2 talks about you can withdraw foreign exchange after obtaining such permission. Under your schedule 2 of your current account transactions, if you are making any amount outside, remitting any amount outside India, then for the purpose of cultural tool or troop outside India, then in such a case you need to obtain prior approval of Ministry of Home Resource and Development. So please forgive me for the answer which I gave earlier. So the answer to this question would be yes. There is a minimum, there is a prior permission which is required from the Ministry of Human Resource Development as prescribed in the second schedule to the current account transaction rules 2000, and therefore Mr. Sen can withdraw the foreign exchange after obtaining such permission from such department. So the 2 questions are done from this descriptive as well. For question number 3, which kind of approval is required for the following transactions under FEMA in 1999? So X is a film star wants to perform along with associates in New York on the occasion of Diwali for Indian residing at New York. For Indians who are residing in New York, foreign exchange drawer to the extent of $20,000 is required for this purpose. And R wants to get his heart surgery done at United Kingdom. Up to what limit foreign exchange can be withdrawn by him, and what are the approvals required? So the answer to the question number 2, let us discuss first. If you are going outside India for medical treatment, for studying outside India, or for immigration, so these are the 3 exemptions which are given under your LRS, for which no prior permission of RBI is required, even if amount of remittance under LRS is more than $250,000. Therefore, if you obtain an estimated amount of expenditure that you are going to incur on the heart surgery from the United Kingdom hospital, then in such a case you can withdraw up to that amount without any approval from any kind of authority. Let us discuss this answer first. So answer to third says that in connection with medical treatment abroad, no approval of RBI Reserve Bank of India is required. Therefore, R can draw foreign exchange up to an amount which is estimated by an medical institute offering treatment. Now, with respect to the cultural tour, and you are going outside India for the purpose of performing, for giving performance outside India. Film star going outside India for a performance. In such a case, you need to have a prior approval of whom? You need to obtain prior approval of Ministry of Home Resource Development, Human Resource Development, as provided under your Schedule 2 of Current Account Transactions. So, three questions we have discussed as of now. Referring to the provisions of FEMA, examine whether an exporter is bound to make declaration of a gift of jewelry valued at 20,000 exported from India to United Kingdom outside India. So again, for this purpose, I would recommend you to refer the exemptions which has been given under your FEMA Act. Under FEMA Act, if you are doing export of goods or software, may be made without furnishing of declaration in the following cases. Matlab, you can make a gift by way of gift of goods accompanied by a declaration by the exporter that are not more than 5 lakh rupees in value. Matlab, if you are making any remittance of good outside India and providing a declaration saying that the value of goods are not more than 5 lakh rupees and you are remitting these goods as a gift outside India, then in such a case, this is completely exempted and you can remit these goods outside India without furnishing a declaration. So let us discuss the answer. So what does the FEMA says? Okay, so taking into consideration the above, since the value of goods, jewelry to V's friend in United Kingdom is less than 5 lakh in value, declaration is not required to furnish by the exporter to the specified authority. Matlab, declaration is not required to be filed by the person who is remitting outside India if the value of goods is up to 5 lakh rupees and a declaration has been given to that effect. Right? Question number 4 we have discussed. Question number 5. Referring to the provisions of FEMA 1999, state the kind of approval required for the following transaction. M require $5,000 for remittance toward hiring charges of transponders, and P requires $2,000 for payment related to callback services of telephone. So I think these two are certain restrictions are there. So let us discuss what are the restrictions given under. So again, in your point number 5, it is the current account transactions. I am required to obtain prior approval of central government for withdrawal of foreign exchange for remittance of higher charges to the transporters. So if you refer Schedule 2 of current account transactions, page number 1.17. So there are prior approval is required if you are making remittance for hiring charges to the transporters. Then in such a case, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting Technology or Ministry of Communication and Information Technology approval is required in order to make any kind of remittance for this purpose. And withdrawal of $2,000 for payment related to callback services. So this is completely prohibited under your Schedule 1 of Capital Account Transactions Rules, which is given on page number 1.16. And therefore, you cannot make payment with respect to callback services. Let us discuss question number 6. Question 6, 7, 8, 3 more questions left out and we are done with this chapter. Question number 6 talks about Suresh residing in India during the financial year 13-14. He left India on 15th of July for the Switzerland for pursuing higher studies in biotechnology for 2 years. Going outside India for the purpose of education for a certain period of 2 years. Under your FEMA definition, under your person resident in India definition, we learned that any person going outside India for the purpose of employment, for purpose of business or vocation, or for any other purpose, which provides his intention to stay outside India for any uncertain period, then in such a case, such person would be considered as person resident outside India. But here in this case, he is going outside India for a certain period. But again, there is some kind of circular which is being issued by the MCA. Let us discuss this first circular and then we will come back to this question number 6. So, according to the circular which has been, so you can mark this circular as a highlighted one because an MCQ can be asked in your examination as well. Generally, a student goes out of India for a certain period. In this case, Mr. Suresh, who resided in India, for going to Switzerland for pursuing higher studies in biotechnology for 2 years, he will be person resident as he has gone to stay outside India for a certain period. But however, RBI has clarified in its AP circular number 45 dated 8th of December 2003 saying that student would be considered as a non-resident. This is because usually students start working there to take care of their stay and cost of studies, and therefore such a person, even if he has gone outside India for a certain period, would be considered as a person resident outside India. So the answer to this question would be he would be considered as a person who is residing outside India who is left on 15th of July 2014. So 6 questions are done. Question number 7 talks about Mr. P, who has won a big lottery and wants to remit 20,000 out of his lottery winnings, is that allowed? Completely prohibited. Remittance out of lottery winning is completely prohibited under your Schedule 1 of capital account transactions. Refer page number 1.16 of ICAI module. Answer to this question is done. This we have discussed earlier also in the earlier question. Mr. Jed is unwell. Mr. Z is unwell and would like to have a kidney transplant in USA. He would like to know the formalities required and the amount can be withdrawn for the purpose of foreign exchange for the medical treatment abroad. So we also discussed this question earlier that there is no requirement, there is no limit and no approval for RBI if you are going outside India for medical treatment, for education, for immigration. No treatment from, no approval of RBI is required even if the amount of remittance is exceeding $250,000 under your liberalized remittance scheme, that is your LRS. And therefore you can remit any amount if you have an estimate from that medical university or student university, or maybe if you are going outside India for the purpose of immigration. Question number 8 talks about Mr. Rohan, Indian resident individual, desire to obtain foreign exchange for the following purposes. $1,20,000 for studying on the basis of estimate given by a foreign university. We discussed in the question number 7 as well. This is completely allowed. No need to worry. You can proceed further with respect to remittance of $1,20,000, and with respect to $10,000 up to $250,000 can be remitted outside India by way of any other by any way, by way of gift or by any other purpose it can be made, and therefore this is also an allowed transaction under FEMA. And this is the complete question answer discussion of the FEMA chapter. If you like the video, please share it with all your friends. Do let me know in the comment sections if you have any other concerns. I will try to respond to you as soon as possible. Thanks a lot for watching. Thank you so much.